What is your why? Now that might be a daunting question, but it's a highly important one. What is your why within your life, your purpose, your reason of being? What is the why of your organization? Now to answer this question, we're going to do a book review of Start With Why by Simon Sinek, and we're going to dive into the 5 best ideas that I got out of this book, coming up. Before diving into the video, I'm doing a giveaway of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. This is a phenomenal book. So if you guys are interested, you have to listen until the end of the video to find out how to apply and potentially win this book. If you're new here, my name is Christopher Dedeyan. Welcome to my channel, no more place for peak performance, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. Now, before diving into the 5 best ideas that I got out of this book, I wanted to tell you a bit about Simon Sinek. So he's obviously an author, a speaker, and an entrepreneur. And he got very famous after one of the speeches that he gave at TEDx, which blew up, which was about the concept of this book. Within the book, he actually mentions what is his why, and I think that's a really interesting place to start. Let's figure out what is the why of the author. So let me read it to you. To inspire people to do the things that inspire them, so that together we can change the world. Now that's a very interesting why that I could get behind. So let's dive into the 5 best ideas of this book. The first best idea of the book is the golden circle. Now this is actually the foundation of the whole book. It's the main idea that really brings all the book together. And what that is, essentially it's a circle with the middle part being the why, the outer edge, the second part, is the how, and finally the last one is the what. Now he explains within this part that all organizations have a real easy time to say what is the what that they do within the organization. The how is only certain organizations that can explain that, which is essentially a USP, your unique selling proposition. And then he mentions that very few organizations really understand intrinsically what is their why. Now to break it apart, to give an example, let's actually use Simon Sinek. I previously read what is his why, right? So we know that his life purpose, that is his why. And now the next question is, how does he go about telling his why? How does he go about that? He does it by selling books, giving speeches, so on and so forth. And what does he do? He helps people find their why. That's his whole circle in itself. So that's the way you kind of have to break it apart. Really figure out what is the why within your organization, what is the how, and what is the what. The second best idea of the book is winning good or bad. Now I love that he mentioned this because he says that within human traits, it's completely normal to want to win. And you want to win in your finances, in your spirituality, in being famous, in fulfillment, in power, in whatever it is. That's completely okay. In fact, he actually even explains that billionaires don't necessarily need to work anymore, right? They have all the money in the world. The money becomes just a metric to measure something for them. Where it becomes dangerous is that when you disassociate your metric of success with the why you started. What is that why? That's when it becomes dangerous. But if you're doing everything within the understanding of your why and you're following that, then you're going to be okay. It's once those two things get disassociated, then your metric of success is completely off. So be aware of why you started and always remember that throughout the journey, because it does become tricky as you're going forward. There's other things that come about and you become interested in the other things instead of remembering why did you actually start. The third best idea of the book is the biology of the golden circle. Now I love that he mentioned this because he breaks it apart and really makes you understand the differences between each one. So he explains that the why and the how is actually linked up with your limbic brain, which your limbic brain controls your feelings and decision taking, not your language. Towards the what is linked up with your neurocortex, which is 100% the language in itself. That's why it's so much easier for people to say what they do instead of saying how and why they do it. So you have to take some time to kind of practice the why in itself. It might take time, and allow yourself to take that time because it's not linked up with your language. But once you're toned in and you really figure out what is your why and it's perfectly put together and you know that sentence, as the leader of your organization, you have to be Mr. Why. You have to continually and repetitively mention to all your colleagues, all of your clients, what is your why, because that will resonate with them and it'll be so much more clearer for everybody. As everybody knows what is the why, then they'll be able to take decisions as an employee or a client of like, hey, is this respecting the why of this organization? If you see there's some value within this video so far, don't hesitate at all to give me a like, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the bell notification to find out when our weekly videos come out. So the word of the book for this book is vernacular. So what's the definition? Using a language or dialect native to a region or country rather than a literally cultural or foreign language. So that's the definition of vernacular. The fourth best idea of the book is the split. Now this is very interesting. Simon Sinek mentions that as your organization grows, you have to be more in line with your why, because there is a danger for you to split. And what does that mean? As the organization grows, people forget about their why and they stick to the what, which is dangerous. And one great example that he gives within the book is actually Steve Jobs, right? Steve Jobs, the why of Apple was very clear from the beginning, which is think different. And like we mentioned, every single organization, the CEO, the leader of the organization is the person that's going to say the why consistently. And as the organization started growing, they kind of stepped away from that. So much so they actually kicked away Steve Jobs from the company, and they went further and further from the actual why of the Apple, and they went into the what they do. As they did that, they realized that they weren't succeeding, they were losing market share, so they went and they brought back Steve Jobs as the CEO, and then Steve Jobs was able to bring back the why of the organization. Then it got clear. And as that is clear, then people know where they need to go, and they start doing products and services and start doing things that are intrinsically linked up with their why. So have that vision of, if you are the leader of an organization, you have to be that person on top that's always talking about the why, so people know what they need to do. And as the organization grows, it's going to be harder and harder to really intrinsically keep that why. So be aware of the split. The fifth best idea of the book is logo and brand. And this is a very interesting concept in itself. Essentially what Simon Sinek mentions is that as you become very clear within your why within your organization, and everything you do, all actions you do within your employees and customers are linked up with your why, that takes a life of its own. Once again, let's use the example of Apple. You probably have a friend within your friend group that when you guys are out and you pull out your phone, and imagine you do not have an iPhone or anything, an Apple product, they start selling you the Apple product. They're like, hey, why do you have this phone? You shouldn't have an Apple. It's so much better, so on and so forth. So much so that you would actually think that this person works for Apple or has stocks in Apple, but that's not the case. Why they're like that is because they link up their reason of being so much with the ideology of Apple, which is thinking differently. So it's not about Apple, it's not about their logo, it's about what it represents for that person. So it's really what is the signification between that understanding, that logo, and that brand. So be aware of your brand and be aware of your why, because it could take a life of its own. So did I like this book? I really enjoyed this book, and the reason why is because the golden circle was just so worth it. And not just for the aspect of the golden circle, but actually putting it in practice. As I was reading it, I took a step back and I'm like, hey, let me do this golden circle for my company, Dedeyan Enterprises, and it clarified so many things. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a leader, I highly suggest you to pick up this book. The Amazon link will be in the description below, and more importantly, do the actual golden circle. Really try to figure out what is your why. It's going to help out your business. Now, as well, for the people that stayed until the end of the video that want this giveaway for the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, all you have to do is these 3 easy steps. Number 1, subscribe to my YouTube channel if it's not already done. Number 2, like this video. And finally, number 3, comment down below, I love reading, and what was your favorite takeaway from this video that we did on the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And I'm gonna pin up on top of the comments when the announce is going to be for the winner of this book. It's going to be on my Instagram, so I announce all my stuff on Instagram, so you can go follow me over there as well, and it'll be announced at that point. Furthermore, there's some more videos over here that could interest you. You have the profile picture over here, which is a button you guys could click, subscribe, and you'll be one step closer to potentially winning this book. Once again, guys, have a blessed and grateful day.